Tristan Broz was a second-round pick at a time when the local franchises was making nothing but second-round picks in the NHL draft, and thus would have been easy to lose track of. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. The Penguins contingent 24-man team, it's currently up in Buffalo, New York, participating in the 5-team Prospects Challenge, split their first two games. They'll have their third and final game today against the host Sabres. If they win that game today, they'd finish the tournament 2-0-1 and win it for a third straight year. Whether or not you take something like that seriously, and I'm not sure how strongly I'd advise that. Yeah, it's better to win it than not. They actually do compete. There have been 4 fights in these 2 games that the Penguins have played. I think we all could agree that individual impact would be way more important. When I talk about the Penguins prospects in general, their entire pool, and even to an extent, just the 24 that are up in Buffalo, I'll almost always cite Ville Koivunen and Rutger McGroarty as being this wave that's coming now, this wave. But the next wave, the next prospect to arrive, according to no less an authority than Kyle Dubas himself, would appear to be Broz. And for a little bit of a refresher on who he was, who he is, Broz was the Penguins' second-round pick in the 2021 draft, 58th overall, can play multiple forward positions, 6'0", 205. He's one of the few guys on this team that's up there in Buffalo who's got an NHL build to him. And that kind of makes sense because he's going to turn 23 years old next month. This past season in the AHL, in 59 games, he had 19 goals and 18 assists. And he was on the top power play, top penalty kill, was a real leader on the team, a vocal kind of guy, a hates to lose kind of guy. He was really letting everybody have it after the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton team bowed out of the Calder Cup playoffs in a raging hurry this past spring. And he is the classic case of someone who's right at that age where, not to be disrespectful of the veterans who are in the fold, but you'd want him to displace one of them. That's how the team gets younger. That's how the team gets fresher without necessarily losing a stride. So when Dubas says something the way he did soon after this past NHL season, along the lines of how Broz would have, should have been part of that group that came up late in the season, he also made clear that he didn't want Broz coming up and having his first NHL game in some sort of lame circumstance. And within that, made it crystal clear that the kid's going to be in the NHL this year. Now, that doesn't mean coming right out of camp, and that doesn't mean that it's etched in stone. So what's he do? He pops a goal and 2 assists yesterday in the 5-4 overtime loss to the Blue Jackets, because that's what you should be doing if you're legitimately ready for the top level and they tell you to go participate in a tournament like this. You should try really hard to stick it in everybody's face that they sent you there in the first place. I had a good talk with Broz the other day in Cranberry, and I can play that for you here right now.
Tristan Broz, you have an opportunity here. I think you know that.
Yeah.
To make an impression on management, you have an opportunity to make it to the NHL. You've heard management talk about that. What's your mindset right now?
I think just take it day by day, live in the moment, and put my best foot forward every day. Obviously that's my goal. That's within the realm of possibilities. So I just got to go work as hard as I can, prove myself, and do that every day. until the first game.
What's your identity as a player? Do you see yourself as a guy that fits really, whether it's a top 6, bottom 6 situation, doesn't matter to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can play all over the lineup. I think.
That's why I'm here.
Center, wing, top 6, middle 6, bottom 6 if I have to, kill penalties, playing the power play, just whatever the team needs, and I'm willing to do that to win.
Cool side note to this. When I was done interviewing Broz and had a good talk with Harrison Brunick across the room, and then went back to that side of the room to speak with Koivunen for a while, Broz stopped what he was doing, seated at his stall right next to Koivunen, and just looked up and watched, meaning watched me and Koivunen doing a formal interview. It was almost like he was preparing for something. When we come back, J1Q. Hey guys, if you're planning to see a concert or a Penguins game, once the NHL season starts, use the Game Time app to get your tickets. You can snag new ticket deals before anyone if you set it into app alerts. The app is easy to use. No surprise fees at checkout. You can see your seat view before buying, and you're getting legit tickets delivered on time. If you're not much of a planner, you can get last-minute deals on tickets right up to the start of an event. Lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Game Time app and enter the code DKPenguins in your app profile for $20 off your first purchase. Time now for J1Q, or at least it usually is. Going to stray from the standard format here a little today because Michael sent something that I thought was really interesting. And before I read what Michael has, I want to share that I spent the other day in Cranberry watching the Penguins Prospects Challenge team practice before they traveled up to Buffalo. And while they were on the ice doing their thing, he and I talked about a lot of different things. It wasn't formal. It wasn't an interview, so I'm not going to get into anything that he said. But I will offer one thing that I said, and it's not any different than anything that I've told you as well. And that's that I believe that the majority of this team's fan base is with him when it comes to his approach. That doesn't mean that everybody's going to love every trade, everything. And I said all of this too. It does mean that they're in favor of what he's doing. They want to see a young, new, fresh set of Pittsburgh Penguins. They also, of course, want to see the older guys treated with respect and everything else here. He seemed to appreciate that, but more interestingly, he seemed to be aware of it. He's encountering people everywhere that he goes in Pittsburgh, and he talks to them, and he listens to them. So on that note, I'm going to read this to you from Michael in our one-of-a-kind hockey community that we have on the DK Pittsburgh Sports app. Michael writes, the actions of the organization. Number one, they used that first stockpile of picks in this past draft, and just because they didn't trade the picks for something, they can still trade those prospects for something in the future. Number two, a coach with a background in development, Dan Muse, doesn't mean that they can't grow into being the guy who leads them into winning. See also Chuck Knoll. Number three, just because you want to make trades and have the capital to make them doesn't mean that you can always find a willing partner that minute. Number four, yes, they have cap space for this season, but that doesn't mean you overpay and or overcommit to someone. Michael concludes here, everything this organization is doing right now is correct. We just have to sit back and watch it develop. Michael, if I could share more of the contents of the conversation I just described, let's just say you'd be pleased with yourself because you nailed what it is that they're at least trying to achieve. Good stuff. I appreciate hearing from you. I appreciate everyone who listens to Daily Shot of Penguins. We'll be back with another one of these tomorrow.